This room is the right size for what we are about to do. Crowds come for entertainment. Leaders come for deployment. Jesus did not trust crowds. He fed them and sent them away, but he taught the kingdom to a few who were ready to disrupt history. My real love is people like you who believe this is for you. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Tonight is not about feeling better. It is about becoming useful. Write this down. Control creates rebels. Influence creates leaders. Say it with me. Control creates rebels. Influence creates leaders. Again, louder. Imprinted in your subconscious. Control creates rebels. Influence creates leaders. What did I say? Good. That sentence is illegal in some systems, but it is constitutional in the kingdom. The kingdom law leaders ignore is simple. Leadership is not control. Leadership is influence, and influence always wins. Why? Because human beings were not designed to be managed like machines. We were engineered to be led by internal conviction. Genesis 1:26 says, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Not domination over people, dominion over a domain. That's internal rulership. That is influence starting from the inside. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. The atmosphere of the king is freedom, because true leadership trusts the gift he placed inside of you to govern you. Write this down. You cannot control a person made in the image of God without damaging that image. Control suffocates, influence oxygenates. Control compresses from the outside, influence expands from the inside. Control demands compliance. Influence invites conviction. Control needs fences. Influence plants forests. Control counts heads. Influence changes hearts. So here is our core question for this entire journey. Why does influence outperform control in kingdom leadership? Because it agrees with the manufacturer's design. Because it dignifies the human as a carrier of purpose. Because it multiplies rather than manipulates. Because it produces leaders, not slaves, partners, not prisoners, stewards, not servants of fear. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. If you change the heart, you change the human. Change the human, you change the house. Change the house, you change the city. Change the city, you change the culture. That is influence. I'm going to lay out the path before we walk it so you can measure our progress. First, we will define control and influence so clearly you can smell the difference in any boardroom, church, or kitchen table. Then we are going back to the original blueprint, dominion without domination in Genesis, so you stop imitating broken thrones. Next, we will work with metaphors the king used. Yeast, salt, and seed, how influence permeates quietly and reforms loudly. I will give you tools, vision, values, and voice how to engineer influence on Monday morning. We will design cultures that form people rather than fence them, systems that release leadership into every function, and we will end with commissioning decrees that deploy you into your assignment. Not employed, deployed. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Now, I must warn you, this content will make you dangerous to ignorance, to intimidation, to internal limitations. Write this down. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Some of you have been tolerating control in your homes, your teams, your own mind. Enough. The moment you stop tolerating it, influence will rise. Stand up inside. Even if you're seated, put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. I was created to lead, not to control. Again, I was created to lead, not to control. One more time, for your destiny to hear it. I was created to lead, not to control. The world is waiting on the influence of your discovered gift. Let's begin. Write this down. 2 thrones rule every environment. The throne of control and the throne of influence. They look similar from a distance, but they produce opposite worlds. One uses force, the other uses faith. One polices behavior, the other births character. One squeezes, the other seeps. Say it with me. 2 thrones, 2 outcomes. Again, 2 thrones, 2 outcomes. Control is external pressure demanding short-term compliance. It is fear wrapped in policy. It shouts, do it because I said so, and measures success by silence, not by sincerity. Control manages optics. attendance, lines, uniforms, likes. It threatens the paycheck, the platform, or the approval to extract performance. It can make people move, but it cannot make them believe. Write this down. Control is behavior modification without hard transformation. It compresses from the outside in. It is a vice on the soul. Influence is internal conviction that produces long-term transformation. It is value that becomes voluntary. Influence awakens the want to, not just the have to. It clarifies vision, cultivates values, and then trusts people to self-govern. It measures success by fruit, not fear. Initiative, not intimidation. Write this down. Real leadership is influence engineered by meaning. It expands from the inside out. It is oxygen to the human spirit. Jesus never taught control as a kingdom strategy. He said, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5:13, 1:4. Salt does not slap the meat. It dissolves and seasons from within. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply appears and darkness retreats. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour till it was all leaven. Matthew 13:33. Yeast works silently, steadily, comprehensively from the inside. Write this down. Kingdom influence is salt, light, and yeast. Quiet entry, total impact. Contrast the outcomes. Control breeds resentment and concealment. People under control smile with their teeth but hide with their hearts. They nod at meetings and sabotage in the hallways. They comply publicly and rebel privately. Toleration becomes a time bomb. Influence, however, births trust and initiative. Influence people volunteer excellence. They bring you problems with proposed solutions. They confess early, adjust quickly, and protect the culture because they believe they are stakeholders, not slaves. Let's map this to your world. In the home, control says, because I'm your parent. The child obeys in the room and rebels on the phone. Curfews become cat and mouse. Influence says, this is who we are. In this house, we honor, we steward time, we tell the truth. Then the parent models it. Conversations replace commands and the standard becomes internal. The young adult sets their own curfew because values now govern behavior. Write this down. Rules can restrain behavior. Only values transform character. In the church, control hides behind titles. Touch not the Lord's anointed to muzzle questions. People perform holiness on the stage and live duplicity in the shadows. Influence equips the saints for the work of ministry. Ephesians 4:12. The word is taught, gifts are discovered, responsibility distributed. People don't attend a service, they become the service. They don't just clap, they carry. Say it with me, equip, don't enslave. In the company, control is policy heavy and vision light. Time is clocked, creativity is caged, and you manage to minimums. You get bodies at desks and hearts at home. Influence crafts a clear, compelling vision, codifies values, tells the value story so consistently that culture hires and fires before HR does. Now employees become stewards. They ask, what is the wise thing in alignment with who we are? Not what can I get away with? Initiative replaces surveillance. Excellence becomes normal, not negotiated. Here is the law. External controls can create order, but only internal convictions can create destiny. God promised, I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. Jeremiah 31-33. That is influence. The new covenant moved the standard from stone tablets to soft tissue. Why? Because humans were designed to be led from within. Write this down. If you lead people the way God designed them, you won't need to police them. They will police themselves. So I'm asking you to choose your throne. In your house, on your team, in your own soul. Will you say it with me? Influence transforms from the inside out. Control compresses from the outside in. Again, influence transforms from the inside out. Control compresses from the outside in. One more time. Put it in your subconscious. Influence transforms from the inside out. Control compresses from the outside in. Now we are ready for the blueprint that makes influence legal. Open your constitution, not the one in your country, the one written by your king. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over the livestock and over all the earth. Genesis 1:26. Write this down. God gave dominion, not domination. The Hebrew word is radah. It means to rule, to manage, to govern a territory, a domain. Notice the objects listed: fish, birds, creeping things, the earth itself. Not one human being is on that list. Dominion is over a domain. Domination is over people. One is legal, the other is rebellion against the manufacturer's design. Why is that important? Because when you misunderstand the mandate, you mishandle people. If you think leadership is controlling people, you will violate the image in them. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. That is identity before assignment. Write this down. Leadership begins with self-discovery in the Creator's design. Image is nature. Likeness is function. God stamped his nature in you and then assigned you a domain to reflect him within it. So influence is not a trick. It is the natural outflow of God's nature revealed through your gift. When you function like the king in your domain, people are attracted, not coerced. They are inspired, not intimidated. Now let's go deeper. The text says, let them have dominion. Not let him, but let them. Dominion was distributed, shared, plural. Leadership is not the monopoly of a few. It is the mandate of the species. The Hebrew term ish speaks of the human as a species, a class. In other words, this capacity was wired into every human by creation, not awarded by election. Write this down. Leadership is your birthright as a human, not a title you beg for. The manufacturer hid leadership in the model. So trapped in every follower is a hidden leader waiting for discovery. You will never become a true leader until you are introduced to yourself. But how do you make that leadership safe? Vision. Say it with me. Vision is more important than leadership. Jesus said, if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a ditch. Matthew 15:14. That's not a verse about eyes. It's a verse about vision. Vision is destination revealed. Leadership without vision is danger with a microphone. Influence requires sight, because sight anchors standards from within. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Look at the sequence. No vision, no internal restraint. Then you need external control. But if vision is clear, restraint becomes voluntary. Influence becomes easy. Write this down. Vision installs self-government. Control becomes unnecessary. Let me confront a theology that has bullied you. Many have been taught to submit to domination in the name of order. That is illegal in the kingdom. God never gave you authority to dominate people. He gave you authority to dominate your assignment. Your domain is where your gift solves a problem. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. In your work, you are a governor. In your gift, you are a nation. When you discover that, you stop fighting people and start mastering your garden. Adam lost a garden, not a government office. Jesus did not come to restore religion. He came to restore the kingdom, the rulership of God in man, through man, over earth, starting from the inside. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. I was designed to dominate my assignment, never to dominate people. Again, I was designed to dominate my assignment, never to dominate people. One more time. Let your future hear it. I was designed to dominate my assignment, never to dominate people. That declaration makes influence legal because it aligns you with original intent. You are not competing to control humans. You are cultivating a domain so excellent, so fruitful, that people willingly follow the fragrance. That is why influence outperforms control. It agrees with the blueprint. And when you agree with the blueprint, the builder backs you. Now let's expose why control always collapses. The issue is not hands, it's heart. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Behavior is the fruit. Belief is the root. Control is not a strategy. It is a symptom born from fear, insecurity, and the terror of losing approval or power. When a leader is afraid, they reach for levers, locks, and labels. But humans were designed for liberty in the spirit. Where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. So the more you squeeze a free being, the more you awaken the instinct to breathe. That's why control fails. It fights the manufacturer's settings. You can program a robot, but you must inspire a human. Consider the lion and the elephant. The elephant is stronger, larger, and faster over short distances. He can uproot trees and flip vehicles. The lion, smaller and out-muscled, still hunts the giant and eats him for lunch. Why? Because of belief. The lion's attitude crowns him. He looks at the elephant and sees a meal. The elephant looks at the lion and sees a menace. The lion's conviction converts size into submission. That's leadership psychology. Outcome follows outlook. When a leader's heart is calibrated by courage and clarity, they generate influence that exceeds their resources. When their heart is calibrated by fear, they generate control that shrinks even abundant resources. Mark this down. Attitude governs altitude. You don't rise to your training, you rise to your conviction. Let's bring it to the highway of your mind. Your soul is a high performance engine. The speedometer announces design capacity, but then culture posts a speed limit. When you know you have the capacity for 180 and the sign says 45, something happens inside. External ceilings irritate internal potential. You feel the tension. Your design says more. The sign says no. If your standards are internal and higher than the posted limit, you discipline yourself and drive with wisdom. But if your only governor is the sign, you will either see then quiet frustration or test the boundary when no one is watching. That is the psychology of control. External limits without internal vision provoke rebellion. The more the fence defines your morality, the more you negotiate with the fence. The moment no patrol car is in sight, you press the pedal. Control enforces ceilings. Influence installs standards. When standards live inside, freedom feels safe. When standards live only outside, freedom feels like revenge. Scripture gives us case studies. Pharaoh tightened his grip, and what happened? The more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. Exodus 1:12. His fear produced policies. His policies produced pushback. He issued a decree to drown Hebrew sons, and a deliverer floated past his own palace. Control incubated its own disruption. The harder the bricks, the harder the bush that burned in Midian, the tighter the leash, the stronger the longing for a promised land. Rebellion was not birthed by wickedness in the people. It was triggered by a governor who refused to honor God's design for freedom. Consider Saul and David. Saul's insecurity made him sling spears at a loyal servant. What did his control produce? It drove David into the wilderness, where outlawed men gathered to him and became mighty. The cave became a leadership academy. Saul's throne got smaller. David's influence got larger. Control hemorrhages talent. It turns potential allies into exiles and forges them into leaders beyond your reach. The very thing you fear, losing your seat, is accelerated by the fear that tries to protect it. Bring it home. Overbearing parenting can generate model behavior in public and secret, lives in private. Curfews enforced with threats produce young adults fluent in hiding. They don't confess failure, they conceal it. They don't ask for wisdom, they search for loopholes. But when a home is built on vision and values, honor, truth, stewardship, children internalize a name they refuse to betray. They set their own curfews because identity governs time. That is influence. So here's the law written in human nature. Control flows from fear and triggers the need for freedom. Freedom repressed will always seek air, often as revolt. God anticipated this and promised, I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. Jeremiah 31-33. Influence puts the law where rebellion cannot erase it. Teach the heart and you won't have to chase the hands. Lift belief and behavior follows. Replace insecurity with vision and the lion wakes up in you. Say this out loud. I will lead from conviction, not control. Again, I will build internal standards so freedom is safe with me. When your belief system is aligned with truth, your leadership stops policing and starts producing leaders. Control creates rebels. Influence creates rulers over their own souls. Write this down. The kingdom's power is subtle, steady, and unstoppable. Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of flour till it was all leavened. Matthew 13:33. small. Silent, thorough. Yeast doesn't argue with dough. It enters it. It doesn't push from the outside. It permeates from the inside. It works unseen until everything it touches begins to rise. That is influence. Influence is the compounding power of served gifts inserted, not imposed, hidden, then unavoidable, quiet, then comprehensive. Say it with me. Quiet entry, total impact. Salt and light confirm this identity. Jesus did not say do salt or do light. He said, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5:13, 1-4. Identity before activity. Write this down. Influence is who you are before it is what you do. Salt preserves meat from decay by contact, not by commentary. Light displaces darkness by presence, not by protest. If the salt stays in the shaker, the meat rots, and we host conferences about the odor. If the light hides under a basket, the street stumbles, and we blame the night. Influence demands deployment. The only salt that saves is the salt that leaves the shaker. The only light that leads is the light that gets on the hill. Say it with me. I am salt. I am light. I am deployed. Now, how do you become yeast, salt, and light in your world? By serving your discovered gift consistently until it permeates culture. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Your job can change, your work cannot. They can fire you from a position, but they cannot fire you from your gift. If they fire you, your gift goes with you. Write this down. Employment is temporary. Deployment is permanent. Yeast is worthless in the packet. It must be mixed. Salt cannot preserve in the warehouse. It must touch the meat. Seed in a jar feeds no one. It must die in soil. Influence begins when you stop protecting your gift and start planting it daily where decay is trying to win. Seed is the kingdom's multiplication code. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. Though it is the smallest, when it is grown, it is greater than the herbs and becomes a tree. Matthew 13:31, 3:2. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest shall not cease. Genesis 8:22. A seed looks insignificant, but inside is a forest, a future, a feeding system. Influence respects process. Hide, die, rise, bear, multiply. Leaders don't campaign for followers. They cultivate fruit, and fruit attracts. Jesus said a tree is known by its fruit. Matthew 12:33. And by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit. John 15:8. Write this down. Your fruit is your advertisement. Your value served consistently is your magnet. Let me make it plain. Growing up, I watched children track mango season without a calendar. No tree ever printed a flyer. No branch shouted, follow me. The tree simply matured and the neighborhood migrated. Bees, birds, boys, every creature with appetite can locate excellence without a map. That is influence. Stop chasing people. Start growing fruit. Stop marketing what you have not matured. When your gift is refined, reliable, and regular, people will find you in the wilderness. Leaders don't seek followers. Followers are attracted to leaders because leaders feed needs. Say it again. My fruit feeds needs. But there is a warning in the words of Jesus. If the salt have lost his savor, it is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot of men. The world will trample tasteless religion. Influence requires potency. Potency comes from purity of purpose, serving your work, not your ego, and consistency of practice, showing up at value when no one is clapping. Write this down. Consistency compounds. Yeast compounds. Seed compounds. Salt compounds. Influence is compound interest on daily deposits of served gifts. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. My fruit is my influence. Louder. My fruit is my influence. Again, my fruit is my influence. Now declare, I will mix like yeast, preserve like salt, and multiply like seed. I will deploy my gift until culture rises. Because I am salt, things will last. Because I am light, paths will appear. Because I am seed, leaders will be born. This is the anatomy of influence. Identity discovered, gift deployed, value multiplied quietly, steadily, thoroughly, until everything rises. Influence must grow arms and legs, systems and structures, or it remains a slogan. So let me take you under the hood. When a car is moving, who is the leader in the engine room? Is it the piston, the spark plug, the fuel pump, the $4 terminal wire on the battery? Who's the leader? No one. And everyone, write this down. Importance is contextual and leadership is functional. In the moment of ignition, the spark plug is king. In the moment of compression, the piston is king. In the moment of delivery, the fuel injector is king. But disconnect a $4 wire and your $120,000 luxury car becomes an air-conditioned coffin on the side of the road. A $4 wire can shut the car down. That's distributed leadership, interdependence with purpose. Control asks for a single superstar and chokes everyone else. Influence builds a symphony and releases every instrument to lead when its score arrives. Write this down. Control centralizes and chokes. Influence decentralizes to competence and purpose. The question is not who has the title. The question is who has the function right now. When function arrives, leadership emerges. When function finishes, leadership passes. That's why the car moves. Every part leads within its domain, and all submit to one vision, arrive safely at the destination. Jesus modeled this. After these things, the Lord appointed 70 others also, and sent them 2 by 2 into every city and place where he himself was about to go. Luke 10:1. He distributed authority, not just assignments. He did not stand at every corner shouting instructions on a megaphone. He gave them the same substance. He carried, heal the sick, say to them, the kingdom of God has come near to you. Luke 10:9. No micromanagement, clear vision, clear values, clear voice. Then he trusted the system. And what happened? They returned rejoicing. Lord, even the demons are subject to us in your name. Luke 10:17. Multiplication without a meeting. Write this down. Distributed authority multiplies impact and protects momentum. Paul echoes this engineering. The body is not one member but many. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you. 1 Corinthians 12:14-21. That is the Holy Spirit's organizational chart. Many parts, one body, diverse functions, one vision. If your organization needs you in every room, it is not great, it is fragile. If your church cannot move until you speak, it is not spiritual, it is suffocating. If your family stops when you travel, you didn't build a home, you built a hostage situation. Say it with me. Who's the leader? No one and everyone. Now, how do we install this in Monday morning reality? Design domains. Write this down. Authority belongs where competence lives and purpose demands for every function. Clarify 3 things: authority, responsibility, and fruit. Authority is permission to act without begging. Responsibility is the weight you carry and the account you must give. Fruit is the evidence you are producing, the outcomes, not the optics. Stop rewarding compliance, start measuring contribution. In a team, create lanes. Product owns product. Finance owns finance. People care owns people care. Let each domain set standards that exceed the external controls and give them the tools to govern themselves. Then tie every domain to the shared vision so that autonomy never becomes anarchy. Define your fruit metrics, not vanity metrics, fruit metrics. In ministry, lives transformed, marriages restored, leaders deployed. In business, customer delight, product reliability, cycle time, innovation shipped. In the home, integrity practiced without surveillance, initiative taken without reminders, trust grown over time. Write this down. Clarity is kindness. When fruit is clear, leaders can lead without fear. When domains are honored, initiative blossoms. When initiative blossoms, you stop hurting and start harvesting. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. I release leaders by design, not by accident. Again, I trust interdependent domains to carry the vision. One more time. Who's the leader in my engine? No one and everyone. Real leadership releases others to lead in their function and trust the system that purpose built. Build that system, and your movement will move when you sleep. Your car will run in any weather, and your influence will outdrive control every time. Before we talk more about systems, we must talk about your soul. Write this down. Deliverance is getting out. Freedom is getting Egypt out of you. Israel walked out of Pharaoh's yard in one night, but it took 40 years to get Pharaoh out of their minds. He brought us out from there that he might bring us in. Deuteronomy 6:23. Many of you left the building of control, but the building didn't leave you. You changed jobs, churches, leaders, cities, and you still ask for permission to be who God created you to be. You ain't free yet. You just delivered. Say it with me. I am moving from deliverance to freedom. The wilderness proves this difference. God spit a sea. They still craved onions. God rained bread. They still preferred bondage with seasoning. Why? Because you cannot take a slave into a promise. You must take a son. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with a yoke of bondage. Galatians 5:1. Freedom is not the absence of Pharaoh. It is the presence of conviction. Write this down. Control outside fails when captivity lives inside. Influence requires free people with internal standards that exceed external controls. Let me take you to Germany for a moment. Years ago, I rode the Autobahn. No posted speed limit. I was gripping the wheel, sweating at 120, 140, 160. My friend said, push it. The car was built for this. My mind shouted, you will die. My belief whispered, you were designed for more. At 170, my fear said, this is the edge of life. I pushed again. 180, 190. The car purred. The road held. My heart laughed. There was life after 170. Write this down. The greatest police officer in your life is the one culture installed in your head. The posted limits were gone, but the patrolman inside me was still writing tickets. That day, I didn't just break a speed barrier, I broke a belief barrier. And from that day, anytime I face a ceiling, I ask, is this a law or is this my limit? If it is my limit, I fire the officer and upgrade the driver. This is where identity renovation begins. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, Romans 12:2. Not by the removal of fences, but by the renewal of standards. Freedom is dangerous if you are empty. It is powerful if you are principled. Compliance looks for the patrol car. Conviction looks for the purpose. Compliance asks, what can I get away with? Conviction declares what aligns with who I am. Write this down. Replace a compliance culture with a conviction culture. How? 3 upgrades. Upgrade your beliefs. Stop thinking like a refugee of control and start thinking like a citizen of the kingdom. God didn't save you to survive. He saved you to govern your assignment. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Feed your heart with your constitution until your subconscious carries higher laws than the handbook. Upgrade your language. Words build worlds. Move from I can't to I don't. I can't lie is weakness. I don't lie is identity. Move from policy says to our values require. Speak as a governor over your domain. Heaven responds to kings, not beggars. Upgrade your standards. Write a personal constitution for your life, your family, your team, non-negotiables rooted in vision. Pre-decide your responses in the 4 arenas that test you: money, sex, power, and time. Set your indicators higher than the world's excellence, above expectations, integrity above inspection, diligence above deadlines. When your speedometer reads 220, post your own wisdom limit at 150 for safety, not because of fear, but because of stewardship. Freedom with standards is mastery. Freedom without standards is mayhem. Israel's tragedy was not geography, it was psychology. They were out, but Egypt was still in. That's why God looked at Joshua and Caleb and said, my servant Caleb has a different spirit and has followed me fully. Numbers 14:24. Different spirit, different internal law. They saw giants and said, lunch. Others saw giants and said, menace. That's the lion and the elephant again. You win in your head before you win on the ground. So here's your exercise for the next 7 days. Choose one domain, your work, your home, your team. Identify one internal speed limit, one belief that has you at 45 inches, a 220 design. Replace it with a kingdom conviction from Scripture. Change the words you speak about it. Raise your standard one notch higher than the rule. Then act one behavior that proves the new law lives inside. Consistency will compound. Your soul will rise like yeast. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. I govern me. My standards are higher than the rules. Again, I govern me. My standards are higher than the rules. One more time. Tell your cells, submit. I govern me. My standards are higher than the rules. When you live like this, your presence becomes policy. Your conscience becomes a court. Your vision becomes the speed limit. And now influence becomes inevitable. Because freedom has found a governor, not a cop, but a king. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Drive like you were designed. Write this down. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Say it with me. Leadership is born when toleration ends. One more time, like a verdict over your future. Leadership is born when toleration ends. Whatever you tolerate, you will never change. That's why some of you have been negotiating with dysfunction for years. Your negotiation became its nourishment. How long will you halt between two opinions? Elijah asked Israel, 1 Kings 18:21. Heaven is still asking. The kingdom doesn't advance by excuses. It advances by endings, ending permission for what insults your design. Rosa Parks was not the first to pray. She was not the first to ride that bus. But on that December evening, she ended something. She did not grow new muscles. She did not get a new title. She drew a new line. She had prayed. She had hoped. She had endured. Then she said, no more. She later said she wasn't physically tired. She was tired of giving in. That is the hinge of history. Write this down. She moved from prayer alone to principled action. And her no became a nation's now. The kingdom suffers violence. And the violent take it by force, Matthew 11:12. Force is not fury, it is firmness. It is the refusal to co-sign your own oppression. God told Moses, why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward. Exodus 14:15. There is a time to pray, and there is a time to proceed. This is the latter. So let's audit the toleration in your world. Write this down. Identify, renounce, replace. First, identify where control lies. Where do you keep asking for permission to do what vision already authorized? Where are meetings hiding fear? Where is information hoarded as power? Where are gifts on house arrest behind the title? Where do you reward compliance over contribution? Name the bus you've been moving to the back of. Name it out loud. Second, renounce it. Renounce the phrases that trained you to stay small. Because I said so. Wait for approval. We've always done it this way. Don't rock the boat. Replace those with vision-anchored declarations. Here is where we are going. Here are the values that govern us. Here is the fruit we measure. Say it with me. I end permission for control in my domain. Again, I end permission for control in my domain. Third, replace it with influence-based practices. Practical? Yes. Publish the vision in one page, destination, values, fruit. Install domain authority where competence lives. Product decides product. People care decides people care. Finance decides finance within the shared values and fruit metrics. Replace approval chains with clarity lanes. If the action serves the vision, honors the values, and produces the fruit, you are cleared to move. Move from weekly report meetings to daily fruit check-ins, brief, focus, honest. Open the books on outcomes so light, not fear, governs behavior. If someone needs constant surveillance to perform, you don't have a leader yet, you have an employee waiting to meet themselves. Immediate shift. Stop hiding behind meetings. Meetings are where dreams go to ask permission to live. Vision doesn't need a conference call to breathe. In the next 72 hours, take one decision in your domain that aligns with the vision, honors the values, and produces fruit. Make it without begging. Document it. Deliver it. Replace a policy with a prototype. Replace a memo with a movement. James says, faith without works is dead. James 2:17. Write this down. Vision without motion is vandalism to purpose. Some of you are thinking, what if I get it wrong? Let me help you. You already got it wrong by tolerating what kills you. The only thing riskier than action is addiction to permission. Joshua didn't conquer Jericho by forming a committee. He moved on a word. Be strong and of good courage, Joshua 1-9. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the end of toleration. When you end toleration, you install influence because you stop renting your will to other people's preferences. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. Leadership is born when toleration ends again. Whatever I tolerate, I will never change. Now declare, today I end permission for control. I move on vision in my domain. One more, my presence becomes policy, my fruit becomes proof. This is your catalyst. Draw the line, cross it, and watch your no more become a movement. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Go forward. Write this down. Influence is engineered by clear vision, anchored values, and a consistent value story. Vision is more important than leadership. I'll say it again. Because culture taught you to chase titles, vision is more important than leadership. Before you ask who is in charge, ask where are we going? If the blind lead the blind, both fall into a ditch. Matthew 15:14. Destination defines authority. The clearest picture wins the wheel. Write the vision and make it plain, that he may run who reads it. Habakkuk 2:2. If they can't run, you didn't write it plain. If they're confused, the vision is cloudy, not the people rebellious. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18 KJV. Where there is clear vision, the people flourish. Say it with me. Vision first, leadership follows. Now values. Values are your salt. They preserve flavor, protect integrity, and prevent decay. Jesus said, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his savor, it is good for nothing. Matthew 5:13. Write this down. Define 3 to 5 non-negotiables that will season every decision in your domain. Not slogan standards. Turn each value into a behavior. Don't write integrity. Write we tell the truth even when it costs. Don't write excellence. Write we deliver what we promise, when we promise, at a standard that surprises. Don't write honor. Right, we acknowledge the image of God in every person. No gossip, no belittling, no partiality. Don't write stewardship. Right, we treat resources as kingdom assets, measured, maintained, multiplied. Don't write courage. Right, we confront quickly with care, no triangles, straight lines, 3 to 5, no more. Too many values become no values. These are your sorts. Sprinkle them daily. If a decision violates a value, it violates the kingdom in your domain. Say with me, my values preserve my vision. Voice. Influence speaks with credibility, not volume. Credibility is fruit, not flair. Jesus said, by their fruits you shall know them. Matthew 7:16. Paul said, you are our epistle, known and read of all men. 2 Corinthians 3:2. Revelation adds, they overcame by the word of their testimony. Revelation 12:11. Write this down. Tell the value you produce, not the title you hold. Titles announce you. Testimony authenticates you. Build a value story you repeat until the room can say it for you. Whom do you serve? What problem do you solve? What proof have you delivered? What promise are you making next? Keep it human, measurable, repeatable. We cut onboarding time from 30 days to 8 and raise first month customer satisfaction from 72% to 93% while coaching 2 new leaders to own the system. That's voice. No bragging, just fruit served on a plate. To make this actionable, I want a 1-page influence plan, 1 page, not a binder. Write this down and do it in the next 24 hours. Name your lane: family, product, finance, community, youth operations. If you own everything, you own nothing. Pick a lane. Gift. Name your primary deposit from God: design, systems, teaching, healing, hospitality, sales, strategy. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. Problem solved. State the pain. You relieve confusion, delay, waste, fear, ignorance, decay. Value promise. 1 sentence. In this domain, I deliver X result by Y method with Z standard. Weekly rituals. 2 or 3 recurring behaviors that compound. Monday, 3-0, minute clarity, huddle. Wednesday, customer call block. Friday, fruit review against values. Fruit indicators. 3 to 5 measures that prove value. Time saved, defects reduced, lives transformed, leaders deployed, satisfaction increased. Make them visible. Light governs better than fear. Post this one page where your eyes cannot ignore it. Review it daily. Speak it weekly. Refine it monthly. If an activity doesn't serve the page, it doesn't serve the vision. If a meeting has no fruit indicator on the page, cancel it. If a report doesn't touch a value, archive it. Now activate. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. The world needs my work. Again, the world needs my work. Louder, tell yourselves, remember, the world needs my work. God told Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I ordained you, Jeremiah 1-5. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Vision gives your assignment a map. Values give it morals. Voice gives it a megaphone. Lead now with clarity in your eyes, salt in your soul, and testimony on your tongue until your influence makes laws unnecessary and leaders inevitable. Write this down. Sustainable influence lives in cultures and systems that form people, not in rules that fence them. Fences create compliant sheep. Culture creates responsible sons and daughters. God promised, I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Jeremiah 31-33. That's covenant language, not policing belonging, not surveillance internalization. Say it with me, covenant over control. From rules to relationships means trust becomes your currency, and responsibility becomes the interest it earns. The more you trust, the more people self-govern. The more they self-govern, the less you chase them with policies. Jesus didn't build a police force. He built a covenant family. Come, follow me. He said, then he walked with 12, ate with them, corrected them, commissioned them. That's culture. Write this down. Rules inform behavior. Relationships transform identity. When identity rises, standards follow without sirens. So how do we architect this? Design rhythms that shape people. Acts 2:42 gives you the blueprint. They continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers, doctrine training, fellowship, mentoring, breaking bread celebration, prayers alignment and correction with honor. Set your calendar to disciple, not to distract. Training, weekly equipping that ties skill to purpose. Ephesians 4:11-12 says the gifts exist for the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry. Equip to deploy, not to entertain. Mentoring assigned pairs or triads where iron sharpens iron. One teaches, one observes, one practices. Feedback, short, scheduled debriefs where fruit is examined against values. No triangles, straight lines, truth in love. Celebration, tell stories of value delivered and leaders raised. Heaven honors fruit, so should you. Correction with honor, restore, don't humiliate. If a man is overtaken in any trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. Galatians 6:1. Correction is not condemnation, it is calibration back to the vision. Write this down. What you schedule, you sanctify. If you don't build rhythms, the rush will build ruts. Establish a culture cadence, weekly skill practice, bi-weekly mentoring huddles, monthly testimony nights, quarterly deployment days where new leaders are publicly entrusted with domains. Commission them as Jesus did. As the Father has sent me, I also send you. John 20:21. Public trust increases private responsibility. Now measurement. Measure fruit, not fear. Fear counts heads and hours. Fruit counts value, growth, and multiplication. Jesus did not say attend much service. He said bear much fruit. John 15:8. Track value delivered, problem solved, quality improved, people served. Track growth, new competencies gained, character strengthened, courage demonstrated. Track multiplication. 2 Timothy 2:2. Commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. 4 generations in one verse. Paul, Timothy, faithful ones, others also. That is a scoreboard of influence. If your graph goes up in attendance, but down in competence and character, you are building a crowd, not a culture. Look at the Great Commission lens. Jesus said, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. Matthew 28:19-20. He did not say, go and collect hostages. Hostages obey because they fear escape plans failing. Disciples obey because their hearts have been formed to love the way. Formation over containment. Say it with me. We make disciples, not hostages. Replace handcuffs with habits. Turn values into liturgies people can live. Training liturgy. Teach, try, train. Teach the principle. Try the practice. Train with feedback until it sticks. Mentoring liturgy. Observe, coach, entrust, observe in the field. Coach with clarity, entrust with authority. And feedback liturgy. Celebrate, correct, commit, celebrate fruit, correct drift, commit to next step in writing. Honor liturgy. Thank publicly, admonish privately, restore promptly, so shame never becomes your strategy. Sabbath liturgy, rest to remember who the source is, because burned out bodies build bitter cultures. Write this down. Light governs better than fear. Make fruit visible. Build dashboards that show transformation, not just transactions. In business, defect rates, cycle time, customer delight, and leaders develop in ministry. Salvation's disciple into maturity. Marriages restored that remain restored. Small groups birthing small group leaders. In the home, chores transform into character initiative, taken without being told. Honesty maintained without being watched. Visibility removes suspicion. Clarity kills control. Finally, embed covenant. Covenant is a mutual vow to guard the vision and grow the vessel. Establish covenants for your teams. Few, clear, recited. We tell the truth. We keep our word. We confront quickly with care. We protect the absent. We steward resources. We multiply leaders. Have everyone sign not a rule book, but a relationship book. Then review it in your rhythms until it moves from paper to pulse. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. Our systems form people. Again, our rhythms raise leaders. One more time. We make disciples, not hostages. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Build a greenhouse, not a prison. Plant values, water with rhythms, prune with honor, harvest with celebration. When you do, control will look obsolete and influence will become the climate, quiet, steady, unstoppable until your culture makes laws unnecessary and leaders inevitable. Write this down. Legacy is measured by how many independent leaders your influence births and deploys. Not how many people you can hold in a room. Not how many titles salute you. Leaders produce leaders, not dependents. A seed becomes a tree, but a true tree becomes a forest. Genesis 1:28 says, be fruitful and multiply. Fruitfulness proves value. Multiplication proves legacy. The apple does not eat its own fruit. The fruit feeds others. And the seed inside that fruit produces orchards the parent tree will never sit under. That is influence outliving you. Look at Jesus. He resisted crowds and invested in capacity. Mark 3:14. He appointed 12 that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach. With him formation, sent out deployment. Then Luke 10:1. The Lord appointed other 70 also and sent them 2 by 2. From 12 to 70. From 70 to nations, Acts 1-8. You shall receive power and you shall be witnesses to the end of the earth. Less control, more clarity. He gave vision, values, servant greatness, truth, love, and a voice, testimony of the kingdom. Then he let them fail forward and grow. His legacy is not a crowd in Galilee. It is a global culture called the church. Write this down. Crowds prove charisma. Sent ones prove leadership. Here's the law. If your presence is required for everything to work, you are not a leader. You are a bottleneck with a title. Tough love. If your absence collapses the mission, you built a prison and called it a platform. Influence plans its own irrelevance. Paul told Timothy, commit these to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. 2 Timothy 2:2. 4 generations in one sentence. That is multiplication. That is succession by design, not succession by obituary. Succession is not the passing of a chair. It is the passing of a charge. Write this down. Deploy your gift, then teach others to deploy theirs. Your job is what they pay you to do. Your work is what you were born to do. If they fire you, your gift goes with you. That's freedom. Now multiply it. Host gift discovery sessions. Pair apprentices with assignments, not just observations. Don't guard secrets, document systems. Don't hoard decisions. Delegate domains with values and fruit metrics. Celebrate when they outgrow your training wheels. That's not a threat. That's proof you led. Jesus modeled this with painful beauty. John 12:24. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it produces much grain. Write this down. Control refuses to die and remains alone. Influence dies to being needed and multiplies. Your ego wants attendance. Your assignment requires successes. Let the grain go into the ground. Let your methods be iterated. Let your name recede. Let the mission go further than your reach. And be wise about power. Don't be impressed with power. Ask for destination and fruit. 2 questions for every impressive leader. Where are we going? What are we producing? If the answers are fog and fandom, run. If the answers are vision and verifiable value, follow and learn. By their fruits you shall know them. Matthew 7:16. Titles impress the immature. Fruit instructs the wise. Practical now. Write this down. 3 moves this month. 1, name 3 people to become independent leaders in your domain, not assistance leaders. 2, entrust each with a clear domain, visible metrics, and authority equal to responsibility. Check fruit, not minutes. 3, schedule public commissioning and private coaching. Public trust increases private responsibility. Private coaching increases public competence. Rinse, repeat, release. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. My legacy is leaders. Again, my legacy is leaders. One more time to yourselves, submit. My legacy is leaders. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, John 15:8. Fruit that fills hungry people now, seed that births leaders later, and influence that outlives you because it lives in them. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Become the tree. Plant the forest. Multiply until nations can sit under the shade of leaders you raise and never controlled. Put your hand on your chest. Say it with me. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Again, you are not an accident. You are an assignment. One more time until your cells submit. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Now write this down again. Leadership is not control. It is influence. Control creates rebels. Influence creates leaders. Influence outlives you because it lives in them. This is your commissioning, not a feeling, a decree. In the next 72 hours, move, clarify your domain name, your lane, where your gift solves pain. If you own everything, you own nothing. Draft your 1-page influence, plan, vision, values, voice, fruit indicators. Convene your three people you will develop into independent leaders, not assistants. Meet with them, share the vision in 1 page, give each a domain, and set fruit you will celebrate, not fear you will police. Then replace 1 control rule with a covenant. Take 1 because I said so, and convert it into because we vow this value. Write a covenant sentence everyone can recite. We tell the truth. We keep our word. We confront quickly with care. We multiply leaders. Post it in the light. Light governs better than fear. Set your study track like a soldier sharpens a sword. Every morning for the next 30 days, read Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image and let them have dominion. That is your blueprint. Dominion without domination. Then sit in Matthew 5:13. Hear Jesus call you salt and light. See yeast working through the dough. See seed becoming shelter. That is influence, quiet, steady, unstoppable. Then meditate on Proverbs 23:7. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Guard your heart, because leadership is 80% mentality and 20% skill. Journal daily the evidence of fruit. What value did I serve? What decay did I prevent? What leader did I develop? What fear did I retire? By their fruits you shall know them. Let me give you a picture. In a little coastal town, a young woman named Mara managed a bakery known for perfect-looking loaves that tasted like cardboard control, had perfected appearances, and murdered flavor. The wall was thick with rules. Don't touch, don't tweak, don't try. One morning she came early with a small jar of old starter her grandmother left her. She whispered a covenant over the bowl. We tell the truth in flavor. We train, we taste, we teach. She tore down 1 rule and replaced it with that sentence. Then she kneaded the starter into the dough and taught 2 apprentices why patience preserves taste. In a week, the town lined up for bread that reminded them of home. In a month, those 2 apprentices each trained 2 more. No memos, no megaphone. Yeast in the dough, salt in the recipe, seed in the apprentices. Who was the leader? No one. And everyone in their function. That is the kingdom. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Vision is more important than leadership. Where are you going? Say it. We are going to a culture where values are visible, gifts are deployed, and fruit is measured. Say it with me. My job is what they pay me to do. My work is what I was born to do. I am not waiting for permission. I am moving on purpose. Jesus said, as the Father has sent me, I also send you. John 20:21. That is not poetry. That is policy. You are being sent into boardrooms, classrooms, studios, clinics, kitchens, and councils to salt decay, to seed futures, to leaven systems. Now decree it loud. I am deployed, no more control. I lead by influence. Again, I am deployed, no more control. I lead by influence. One more time, till your shadow believes you. I am deployed, no more control. I lead by influence. Today you leave this room as ambassadors of an invisible government that governs from within. Publish your vision. Practice your values. Tell your value story. Journal your fruit. Replace permission with clarity. Replace rules with covenant. Replace fear with light. And multiply until your name is irrelevant and the mission is inevitable. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. Go forward and make leaders of nations.